share. Presentation mode. There you go.
Good evening and welcome everyone to October 27th meeting of the Open Space and Ecology meeting. This meeting is compliant with the Ralph M. Brown Act as amended by the California Assembly Bill 361, effective September 16, 2021, providing for a public health emergency exception to standard teleconferencing rules required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide a safe environment for public, staff, and committee meeting members while allowing for public participation. The public may address the committee using exclusively remote public comment option. The committee may take any action on any item listed in the agenda. Public meeting videos. Members of the public may view the Open Space and Ecology Committee meeting by logging into the Zoom meeting listed below. Open Space and Ecology Committee meetings can also be viewed live and or on demand via the city's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brisbane CA, or on Comcast Channel 27. Archived videos can be replayed on the city's website, brisbaneca.org/meetings. To address the committee, the Open Space and Ecology Committee, OSEC meeting will be an exclusively virtual meeting. The OSEC agenda materials will be viewed online at brisbaneca.org at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting and at least 72 hours prior to a regular meeting. Remote public comments. Meeting participants are encouraged to submit public comments in writing in advance of the meeting. Aside from commenting while in the Zoom meeting, the following email and text lines will also be monitored during the meeting, and public comments received will be read into the record during oral communications or during an item. Email address is aepherton@brisbaneca.org. You may join the Zoom meeting at brisbaneca.org/Zoom-OSEC, meeting ID 97642950160, passcode 544511. The call-in number is 669-900-9128. Special assistance. If you need special assistance to participate in this meeting, please contact Adrian Etherton at aepherton@brisbaneca.org or at 415-508-2118. Notification in advance of the meeting will enable the city to make reasonable arrangements to ensure accessibility to this meeting. All right, we will call this meeting to order. Let me do a roll call here. Jason Ninian.
Here.
Michelle Salmon.
Here.
Barbara Ebel.
Here.
Erin Becker.
I'm here.
Donna Kelmes. Present. Mary Rogers is absent today, and Glenn is not here yet. So we will continue.
Move to adopt the agenda.
I second.
The agenda has been adopted.
You need to actually have folks vote.
Oh, sorry.
I can call quick roll call if you want.
Sure, that'd be great.
Jason.
Aye.
Donna.
Hi.
Michelle.
Aye.
Erin.
Aye.
Barbara.
Aye.
Right. Are there any announcements?
Yes, I have one. On October 19th at the Mission Blue Center, San Bruno Mountain Watch will be hosting a book signing party and like celebration for the new flora of San Bruno Mountain. that was just completed and published by Doug Allhouse and Dr. David. Oh my God, I can't think of his last name. Nelson, sorry. And it is absolutely stunningly beautiful. We got a preview copy at Day in the Park. Tickets are $40 or $75 if you wanted to include an autographed book. The book retails for $55. And there will be hors d'oeuvres and desserts and no-host cocktails and bar. And there will be some lectures and talks and some tables to look at stuff and buy stuff. And it's going to be awesome. So please come. It's from 4 o'clock until 8:30 on November 19th. You can buy a ticket at mountainwatch.org. And so we have 2 prices of tickets, $75, including a $55 book, or $40. And it is catered hors d'oeuvre, so it's going to be very nice. So sign up and come. We have room for 200 people.
Michelle,
Thank
you
you.
said that was October 19. I think you mean November.
No. November 19th. I'm so sorry. It's been that kind of week. November 19th. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving. So I'd love to see all of you there. I have my ticket already.
Any other announcements?
I would just note that Glenn joined us as Michelle was making her announcement. Welcome, Glenn.
I'm in yellow this evening. I don't know why.
It's fabulous. Never change. It's awesome.
It's because it's an autumnal color.
Spooky
So
season.
positively glowing, dog.
All right, I guess we will move forward to oral communications.
I
there
do
anyone-
not see any members of the public present, and I have not received any communication.
Does anybody have any objections to approving the minutes from September's meeting?
I will just note that I noticed when I opened them that I had not changed it from the agenda to the minutes in the header, so I have gone ahead and corrected that already.
So I move we approve the minutes from our last meeting in September.
I'll second.
Jason Noonan,
Aye.
Michelle Salmon,
Aye.
Glenn Feldman,
Yes.
Erin Becker,
Yes.
Barbara Evil,
Aye.
Donna Kelmy, aye. And it's been approved. I'm looking forward to this.
Already here. Do one of the subcommittee members want to talk about what you guys came up with? We have the chart that you guys all approved that we can put up on the screen, or do you want me to kind of give an overview? I mean, you guys did some of the work without me.
I
Go
think
ahead, Karen.
either you or
Huh?
Aaron.
Go ahead, Karen.
So, don't mind my cat. The subcommittee met a couple of times. First, they did their initial without me there, and they thought about what was practical in light of wanting to address all of the properties in Brisbane and wanting to focus on the worst of the invasives. And they looked at a couple of criteria, a couple of different ways at looking at the invasives. Everything needs to be cleared from a site, or you have to clear a perimeter around your property line. We also discussed a little bit deadheading plants that go to seed and can spread, but that got a little bit wonky. I'll let you guys elaborate on that. So we came up with 12 or 13 that were considered to be the worst in our area. The committee also consulted with Ariel at Mountain Watch, who passed on a list for the HCP, and Shauna took a look and had a list of things that in the horticulture community are the biggest, are maybe all of the concerns in the area. And we met again and considered those and came up with a list that we wanted to show to the full committee. I did tell the subcommittee that I'd gotten some feedback from planning, and I hadn't got to put that in an email. So I can talk about that, but I think it's better to see the list first, probably. I have that on the computer. So, does anybody want to? Oh yeah, because Aaron doesn't want to be on. Oh, there you are. You're on
Yay.
camera.
Yay.
You're on mute, I think. If
Oh,
you're...
sorry about that. So my backstory is that I scratched my cornea yesterday trying to shove stuff in my compost bin. So I'm a little puffy today and not loving high bright screens. So Karen did a great job kind of giving an overview of what happened with the invasive species table. We really focused on the species. We figured that it would make sense to discuss these before writing anything else up. And then we also wrote that paragraph you see at the top, which we imagine could be included in some ordinance. Alongside the ordinance, we imagine there would be a lot of educational materials that would be different, but ordinance, keep it simple was the way we kind of envision this should go. The list we got from Ariel, which is a San Mateo County list, had probably 60 species on it. And then we had probably 15 or 20 more from Shauna. But we knew that if we put 60 species on a list, it would immediately just be glazed over. And so the committee worked pretty hard to figure out what we see the most of and kind of what we thought were priorities. So I think that's probably enough to say open for discussion if you guys have any questions. Glenn or Jason, do you guys have anything to add?
Not really. The lists that we got from Ariel about HCP, in particular, were really sweeping. I mean, they were saying things like rosemary and marigolds and things like that, which none of us have ever seen on the mountain. California is pretty famous for microclimates and also for soils that differ a lot between areas. And so it seemed to us like a lot of those things wouldn't be problems for us in particular, and that we should limit it, as has been said, to the species that we know are big problems.
I would just add that I was a strong voice for keeping it as clean as possible. Einstein used to say things should be as simple as possible, but no simpler. And for it to allow the list to just sprawl to anything that might possibly be bad was going to mean an ordinance that would have no teeth and would be ignored. And if you see something like marigold on that list, people are going to be like, forget it, harmless little marigold. So this is what we came up with, was what encroaches us most directly and has the most relevance to us and can always be amended in the future. But this was my idea, to keep it clean and move it forward.
Yeah, I mean, this
Okay,
looks a
when you-
lot like the list we started with a couple of years ago. I'm noticing some differences. But I have no problem with the plants included. I think you guys did a good job of keeping it pretty straightforward. The one thing that is new to me from back when I was on this committee in the dark ages is I think they started with a 2-foot perimeter around all the property lines, and I feel better about 2 foot than 1 foot because, I know that like the Himalayan blackberries, those things can grow a foot in a weekend. And ivy too. Some of these things are really aggressive. So I'm wondering about the choice to move it from 2-foot perimeter to 1-foot perimeter.
I have my hand up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions. One is, what is bugle? I'm not familiar with that. Is there a different common name with that?
I had ajuga is what we always call it. It's a ground cover. I've never seen it escape a garden setting, and it's in a container. It certainly isn't terribly aggressive.
All right, well, that's one. But the other questions I have are around eucalyptus and acacia. I understand acacia, and the two primary ones that we're plagued with here are black acacia and acacia baileyana, Bailey's acacia. However, eucalyptus is going to be, I mean, that's a little bit hard because there's 603 different species, at least, of eucalyptus. The ones that are most obnoxious for us, of course, is Eucalyptus globulus and probably the red gum as well. But so just saying any might be just too open, because I think some of the even street trees that the city has on their list may come under eucalyptus. I don't know. And there are some that are planted in the Northeast Ridge development, also some ornamental eucalyptus. So I would don't mind if we get rid of all of them. And the 1 foot clear perimeter, what we had originally was 1 foot clear perimeter in regular lots in Brisbane, and a 3 foot clear of any property line that abuts the native habitat. So I don't know if we can amend it to include that, because ivy gets going so fast and will just absolutely take over. And it's better to have it a good 3 feet from, like native habitat. But otherwise, I think this is a really good, tight list. And so I really appreciate the work that you've done. And these are all bad, except I don't know what bugle is, but I'll look it up.
What about pyrocanthas, which are very closely related to cotoneasters, and they spread pretty much the same way, with the birds eating the berries and pooping them out everywhere. Thought I had that on the list, because I think that would be higher priority than.
How about bugle off, pyrocanthus on?
Or you could do cotoneaster pyracantha, because they're, I mean, like I said, they're pretty, people who put in, might put in
Pyracantha.
12 is a nice magic number to keep it to. So if we took
10.
bugle off and do cotoneaster / pyrocanthus, you get it to a nice even 12.
Sounds nice. And I agree with Michelle. Maybe on the acacias, you should focus on the ones that are more in the trade. There's some small ones that are absolutely in the garden trade, the little cousin it, and I don't think it's, I mean, it's actually kind of tender, and it's hard to, can't imagine it anything. I think you should focus on the ones that are a bigger problem, the Baileyana and the black acacia. There are thousands of acacias. I don't think all of them are a problem.
I will note the list is currently 13 items, so removing one and adding one is not getting us 12.
No, I said remove one and then say cotoneaster /
okay, got it.
because they were so similar.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And is this in any particular order? It's not alphabetical. It's not.
No.
I'm just. Oh, is it in priority? I was just trying to. It for me it bugs my eye if it's not, and if
it's ordered by it's ordered by must remove in alphabetical, and then
I see.
Clear in alphabetical, and then everything else. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Also, this is great feedback. Thank you. Keep it coming, everybody.
Okay. Don't mean to be kind of weird about that.
I don't know that pyracantha is that. I know that it seems to be. Oh, there are hands up. Sorry.
Yeah, Glenn had her.
I was just going to say about eucalyptus. Eucalyptus, we're not requiring removal. We're just discouraging people from planting it. And the same thing with acacia. And the reason for not specifying too closely is that most ordinary people do not go to a nursery asking for a specific species of acacia or a specific species of eucalyptus. In fact, we're lucky, you know, that probably a lot of people go saying, I want a tree. And so part of the idea of keeping this simple is not to force people to go into too much detail about plants. And also nursery managers, at least some of them, don't seem to be very well informed about this. So if we tell them, you know, acacias and eucalyptus are on the bad guys list and ivy is on the bad guys list, and scabiosa, there's at least one hybrid scabiosa that doesn't seem to be invasive because it doesn't seem to reproduce outside of, you know, a facility for that. Keeping it simple seemed to us the right strategy. And that means maybe a more sweeping disparaging of species that probably have a lot of variation in terms of their, you know, particular varieties of.
Glenn just pretty much made my point. So I'll take my hand down.
Was I next? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Great. How about, because I'm all about compromise and all about simplicity. I didn't know about the 2 foot from the past, and someone else put the 1 foot, thought it sounded good. But what about 2 feet everywhere? Rather than having a complicated thing, how about 2 feet everywhere? Because I'm with Barbara. That blackberry can, in a weekend, you can just see it across the sidewalk. You know, would that be onerous? 2 foot everywhere? My idea.
I agree.
I,
Anybody else have any?
yeah.
I-
Glenn, I had my hand up already.
Yeah.
One thing, copper tips should be 1 word, and it's also known as fire lilies. So this doesn't come up when you look up copper tips as 2 words. So we need to correct that. And then on the, I lost my thought on it. Sorry. I don't, the bugle, I looked at it and I'm not recognizing it as being anything I've seen up on the mountain, but maybe it is. And I don't know that we really need to add I want to keep it simple. So I don't know that we really need to add the pyracantha, because I haven't really, has anybody else seen pyracantha up on the mountain?
I have.
You've seen
Uh,
pyracantha and not?
That's little red berries or no?
Well, it has little red berries, but its leaves are longer and more shiny and green and lanceolate than the cotoneaster.
I think my neighbor planted it. It's coming down on top of me, but I don't know
Okay.
how.
It also vectors a lot of SOD. It's
A lot of
major-
what?
It's sudden oak death. It's a major vector
Okay.
for sudden oak death, which I think is also a kind of an important point to it may it's really common in the trade. I mean, people put it everywhere. At the end of Santa Clara, there's a whole patch of it there. In fact,
Okay, it needs its own. It needs its own line. Then it shouldn't be with cotoneaster.
But then if everyone's saying bugle seems like not that big a deal, we could still keep it to 13 by putting it with where bugle was.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And I don't know that I've ever heard crocosmia called copper tips or anything other than crocosmia.
I just looked it up, and it is called copper tips, but it's all 1 word, and it's also, I recognize it as being called fire lilies.
That is the problem with common names. All right, Glenn.
Yeah.
I think we should include as many common names as possible, just because it's called, you know, things are called different things in different places. I'm like Jason, I wasn't aware of the 2 foot border that was earlier proposed either. But
It was
I'm
actually
fine with
3
it.
feet, but I think that's too much if you're going to do it everywhere.
Okay. I'm fine with 2 feet. When we talked about removing this border, part of our hope is that if we require people to keep their border clear, they'll just take the problem stuff out altogether. 2 feet is safer than 1, but either border we hope will accomplish more than that. by encouraging people to just get rid of it instead of fooling around with trying to keep a border.
Yeah. The other one that's kind of nauseous is periwinkle, and I'm not saying that on there.
Yeah,
we do have a problem with that.
we talked about that. Have you seen it on the mountain, Michelle?
I've seen it really close. Some people use it for ground covers very up close to the mountain, and it just takes off. But
We did discuss it.
let's wait and see what we get. If we can get this through, then maybe we can add a couple of other things to the list. Like one of the things I'm very concerned about is Passiflora jamesonii. It's the orange passion vine. That stuff is like California kudzu, and it takes off all over the place. I had a friend who planted one 1-gallon pot, and within 10 years, it had run all over the whole neighborhood and up, 50 feet up 2 trees and everything else. So that is really one that would be on the list for me, is any Passiflora jamesonii. And I recently saw it at somebody's yard when I was walking, and it was taking over everything.
There's one that's very similar to it, but it's not jamesonii. It's actually called, so jamesonii is commonly known in the trade as coral seed. And there's another one called coral glow, which is not a jamesonii, but it has a similar, it actually has a slightly more melissima flower, and it's a slightly brighter hot pink, and it's not as aggressive, and it doesn't leave the chunks in the ground that spread as badly. So it might be a little tricky unless you want to specify that it's really the coral glow that's the problem, and not
the problem is the jamesonii.
Yeah.
That's the problem one.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask is why didn't, if the fennel is such a big problem, why is NATA clear that 2 feet around people's property lines? That's nasty.
We should have that cleared from 2 feet around property lines. It's just very difficult to do.
Yeah, and the plums, they root sucker like crazy.
Yeah,
Because I've cut a few down and they just come back. They should be way away from property.
I don't have
Fine
any,
with that.
I think that sounds like a fine idea to just bring them up there, right?
And
Those two.
yeah, I think they should be in the must remove category almost.
that's really a challenging one. I had one removed. It was expensive, and I'm now cutting off suckers all over the place. Same thing with a black locust. So we want to keep the list tight. I mean,
Yes, please.
I think that Jason's right, and we should keep it a pretty small list until we get it approved and on the books, and then we can work to expand it if we find some more problem things that are on there.
Does anyone else agree that it would be okay to put the fennel up with the clear the perimeter? And do people feel, I don't know cherry plum that would, should it be moved to the perimeter as well?
Much as possible.
So, I have no problem with that because it's really nasty, and we didn't put it on the must remove only because of the hardship of that. So I like the idea of at least having to remove it from a perimeter. I don't know that it really spreads through ground movement.
It does.
Okay.
Cherry plum or fennel?
The cherry plum.
I think of it as
Did
being.
you mean the cherry plum, or did you mean the fennel?
I meant the fennel.
Oh,
I thought of it as being a seed drop thing.
it
but
is a seed
Cherry
drop
plum
thing.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
But if
But-
you've got all those seeds within a foot of your line,
True.
it just keeps making clumps and clumps and clumps, and as soon as
It would
Yeah.
feel good. It would feel good to say, get that back. As
I agree.
as Glenn just said, hopefully people will look at that and go, oh, it's just not worth the hassle. I'll just get rid of it.
Also, I'm up here in the near wild, and a lot of the fennel I see is actually right at the edge of the street.
Mhm.
So that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
and
So
I
are we
think-
making notes on what the changes we're going to make here?
I'm trying to capture everything in the minute.
Okay.
but I'm gonna probably have to follow up on some of these names. Get the
Okay.
spelling right.
I saw you
There's
there,
video.
Adrian. I saw you doing it.
I'm wondering if
There's-
we can do what they've done with some invasive animal species is try and make taking the heads off the fennel, like making fennel pollen something or others. I know you can use it
Oh,
culinarily.
Shadow, we talked about the whole deadheading thing. It's really, oh man, that's
It's not going to
oh,
happen.
That's not going to happen. Oh, please, no.
It fell off due to keep it simple, and it was my idea, and I think I'm okay with it falling off.
Oh,
Okay.
no, deadhead that idea.
So on ivy, where it says any and hedera, we also need to include, we really need to include Cape ivy, which is not a hedera.
Oh, okay.
It's a Delaria odorata.
Could it be ivy any, and then parentheses including hedera? Just so we just.
Yes.
Or you can say
Like-
hedera and Delaria.
Yeah, that's fine. Because Cape ivy is just as bad as,
Horrible.
and it's very high on the state's list of invasives.
Does anybody have any other comments? Been great feedback.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm. So
So Karen, what did the Planning Commission, is that who you talked to?
So I talked to planning staff,
Oh, okay.
and it wasn't a formal position, so it was just kind of a conversation that for them, the do not plant is easily accomplished for any new projects, right? So they review landscaping, or replacement landscaping for water efficiency. Those are easy to prohibit invasives on any list. Challenging, let me see my notes. Challenging to implement for existing development, and it not through the building permit process. So what they're kind of saying is it would probably have to be something like fire or weed abatement, where properties are systematically inspected, owners given notice to abate, and that's a resource need that we would have to present to the council, policy question for the council. And then it was, they suggested education and resources to help property owners make smart landscaping choices. We've been doing that. That's, people don't always listen to that when we do a lot of education stuff, and we don't always hear back from people. And they weren't sure. Yeah, had we picked the ones that were most noxious or harmful here, which I said yes. And I said I thought we would probably want to have more follow-up with planning staff based on that.
Glenn?
there is.
I was just going to ask Karen that the must remove category presents the city with fairly significant financial obligations, because a lot of these things are present on city property. Was that addressed at all?
Yeah, so I thought I said that in email to you guys, that I did talk to the public works director, and he's good at bouncing back work, and he asked me to price it, and I haven't been able to get that done yet. Give it, do a planning level estimate of what that would cost.
Wow. Okay, if I were looked at, I apologize. I didn't see that.
So
Yeah,
I think I
maybe.
emailed, right?
I believe Michelle is next.
Okay.
one more thing that I'd love to have added to this, and it's about ivy and protected tree species. And I think we should also include that ivy must be removed from any protected tree species. That's going to be a little bit hard, but it's really essential. I see so many of our native oaks that are on private property now that are being choked to death, and ones on public property too, being choked to death by ivy. And I think that if we're going to have an invasive species ordinance, to protect the habitat. That is part of what should be protected.
Bring that into the trees committee, and maybe for the next meeting.
Say again?
Maybe we could bring that part of the invasive things into the tree committee.
I think I would love to have it on here because I don't think it's going to get addressed in the tree committee soon enough. And this is an invasive species ordinance that we're putting forward now. So I would love to have it attached to here, and we can also put it in the tree committee thing. But if it takes as long as it took us to do this one, those trees will be dead by then. So I really think it's important that we put it as a codicil to the invasive species ordinance.
I think it could go right in the table where everything else has an X.
Agreed.
And just
Goes right in the
must
table.
remove
Must
from
remove
protected
from
tree.
protected. Agreed.
And it's still mostly simple.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe Barbara had a comment.
Yeah, I mean, Michelle also kind of covered a lot of it. I was also going to say maybe we could just put it like the last line on the table, or I mean, Aaron covered too. Last line on the table says, you know, no plant is allowed to grow up into a tree. That's must remove it. That's that. And then I was just curious about gorse.
We could put gorse on the same line with broom. Any broom or gorse, since they're both kind of in the same family. And we didn't specify the Latin names on those.
Okay, Aaron, comment? Nope.
Aaron, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
I was going to change the subject a little bit, and Karen, forgive me if I've forgotten. Did we talk about a compliance period and how long the city has and how long people have to do this, to get this done?
So I think we did a little bit, and on the city side, I think it's going to have to do with, we'll be bringing this to council. I'm supposed to get that estimate. Let's say, just picking a wild number, it's going to cost the city $100,000 to remove all of the, I don't even know if that's the right order of magnitude or not. Maybe it's low. Even Crocker Trail is a couple miles long. Let's say it's a couple $100,000, and council says we want to do that over X 4 years. I suggested a different time period for this ordinance. We've done that in other cases. These ordinances don't apply to us, or they apply in a different time period, sometimes more aggressive, sometimes less. I suggested that we pick a time period for residences because most people are, well, that's not true, but a lot of them are doing one property necessarily, or a couple. And the subcommittee said that they wanted the time period to be the same for the city as for private property owners. And I shouldn't say residences because it can be commercial too.
So I'm going to throw out something, and I'm sorry, we should have covered this in subcommittee, but I didn't think about it then. What if we did developed properties versus trails and undeveloped properties as the two timelines for compliance, or something different than that? So it's, residences and businesses have a short timeline, and then trails and
undeveloped. I mean, there are like some of the acres that don't have anything built. There are some properties that are undeveloped. They're probably mostly acres, but there are some.
It's gonna, like, broom removal is super important, but on some of those undeveloped properties, it is going to take them a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
there's the like picking handicraft and that, there's other undeveloped properties in the city.
And I was
those ones
thinking
along Bayshore
about the pampas grass along, on Crocker Trail, and even if it wasn't removed in the same timeline, if at least the city went and deadheaded, took the tops off of them. Michelle, Lisa and I filled up an entire truck full of pampas grass tops a couple weeks ago, and we could have, if we'd had more space or places to put them, we would have done more, but we just didn't have. It's bad. It's really bad.
It does help with the spread, though. It really cuts back on the spread when you get those.
I mean, if we can at least get some of it at, you know, if the city doesn't have the you know, near the people to
What?
actually remove it yet, then at least, you know, try and control the spread.
Maybe we could base it
Well,
on this.
outside of the ordinance, there are ways to try to accomplish that, especially if you guys are doing volunteer efforts. If you have a tarp or something and you want to make a pile and have us pick it up, there are other ways to do that outside of having an ordinance.
I mean, I was just trying to throw things out there. Glenn, and then maybe Barbara.
Just a related point, we're going to have to get after the county too, because parts of the park are really getting invaded by pampas grass. And they've known about this because Adrian and I went out and spent a couple of hours mapping where the plants in the park were that we could see. And nothing happened. I'm not sure how to get something to happen. And Mary Gutekunst and Dana and I went out a couple of years ago and deadheaded the pampas grass that's on both sides of Guadalupe Canyon Road. But that's really quite dangerous to park a car on the side of the road there. You know, I was really afraid we were going to get clobbered. So the county, if we're going to do this in Brisbane, the county really needs to step up to the plate and stop it from happening in the park too.
And I just quickly, I don't have details, but I do believe there was were some projects getting lined up to address some of the various problem areas for pampas grass. I know there were some that were on the coast project. I think that was lined up first, and then like the next one, I'm pretty sure San Bruno Mountain was on that list. And it's been a long time since I remember hearing that update, so I don't know how far out that project still is, or if it's, you know, covering the entire park. But I know that they had identified it and put it in the queue.
Oh, good.
I just need to I need to go AWOL for a second. I gotta go lock up my chickens. Sorry.
All right, Michelle.
Yeah, two things. One, maybe we could make the timeline for compliance related to the size of the properties. So anything less than an acre or a half an acre or however many 1,000 square feet would be like a year or 18 months. Anything over that up to X amount would be 3 years or 2 years. And then for large properties like Peking Handicraft and Levinson, they have to have a plan that they begin implementing, and that would stretch over maybe 4 or 5 years because it'll take that long. And then, Glenn, in response to what you just said, I'd just like you to know that next Wednesday, November 2nd, from 3 to 5 p.m., is the Natural Resources Management Group quarterly meeting. You can address the issue with the Natural Resources Management Group. You know, people are welcome to come and participate if they have an issue or raise it with that. And I usually attend. I don't know if I'll be able to attend next week. Mountain Watch usually has a representative. The city of Brisbane had a representative. It was Bob Sage. I don't know if we have Adrian, don't you attend that now?
I am on the list. I have not yet been able to attend the meeting so far, but I do have that meeting next week on my calendar.
Yeah,
and
so
it looks
maybe
like I should be able to attend.
Is that maybe you could share the invitation with the members of OSEC that are interested in attending?
They don't actually send an invitation, but I can forward the.
Yeah, the link. That's what I mean. So that Glenn, you can address that issue directly to the natural resource manager, who is Evan Cole, and the resource management team. And that's a place to, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so if we want the county to take care of that, then we need to say so.
I would love to, but I'm in class then, so I absolutely cannot go.
Yeah. So that was what I So what do you guys think about basing the timeline based on the size of the properties?
I think that's a pretty good idea. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Because if you have a single family, 5,000 square foot
Mhm.
lot, you should be able to get that done in a year.
Mhm.
If you got an acre, a vacant acre or 2 acres, that's a little bit harder, and it's going to require, if it's broom, it's going to require some, concerted effort to keep it at abeyance. But the broom is really important because it is one of the biggest fire hazards we have between Brisbane town and the mountain and the interface zone. Yeah, I'm done.
You have anything else to add, Glenn?
yeah, I was just going to say this. That makes me think again about gorse. We didn't add gorse to this list partly because nobody plants gorse anymore. Most of the gorse that's around is legacy gorse from a long time ago, but there are the odd gorse plants on city-owned properties, so maybe it should go back on the list as a must remove. But anyway, that's why it's not on there in the first place. We were just thinking nobody plants gorse, right?
No.
I
As
thought the
ornamental.
suggestion that was we do broom and gorse.
Yeah.
Yes. That fire that happened that was really bad that day, that was behind up at the end of West Hill behind Henley, that was gorse that burned. And there's still a whole bunch more. And this stuff is just a freaking torch. And so, of course, nobody planted it, but if it starts growing on your property, you should be responsible to remove it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
oh, that's fine.
Agreed.
I think it deserves its own line, though.
Okay, I'm good with that. Jason's probably not, but Jason, as
Well,
long as we don't get over 18, I think we're good.
Oh, no. 14,
15?
no. Bugle's going, right?
Bugle's
Yeah.
going as far as I'm
Bugle's going.
concerned.
No, really, if we want this to be taken at all seriously, we can always add to it later. The perfect is the enemy of the good. So please, maybe 14, but please.
Yeah.
18, don't say the word 18. No.
But can we
Well, I
do-
got you up to 14 by saying 18, didn't I?
Oh, no, and we're done.
But can we
Okay.
do a common broom and gorse, and then the two, genus names over in the Latin section, and then Cotoneaster and Pyracantha in one line. Get rid of the bugle. And
Ivy, the
Um,
Cape Ivy.
the ivy and the Cape Ivy. So then you have Dara and I can't remember the ones for that.
The fennel up to the move it
And
to
the fennel needs to go to the top. I think the fennel and the cherry plums are I mean it's the scabiosa that's the common is the common plant. I mean that's everywhere.
I'm sorry, Barbara's got her hand up, but I'm going to jump in anyway. I'm going
I
to
think she
suggest-
went away.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's playing
it's
with her
down.
chicken.
I'm going to suggest that Shauna perhaps.
I'm back.
Oh, yeah.
Barbara. Hope they were all sleeping happily now. I'm going to suggest that maybe Shauna goes through our common and Latin names and makes this from the eyes of a horticulturalist and a homeowner. I think that that's really her realm of expertise.
Idea.
I'd be happy to do that day. And when you guys want to sort it out, I'll be happy to go through it and sort of nitpick it a little bit. But I'll try and make it simple too, because I mean there are some things that people want to put in and some things that people don't want to.
But we're not expanding from here, right, Shanna? It's like
No,
you were
no. I
here.
think it should be tight, but I think the real big culprit should be up at the top and in bold print, like no no pin cushion, no scabiosas, no brooms, no pampas
But
grass, no
you see
Cotoneaster.
that you see that the concept was to start with do not plant and must remove, and then to go to next with the things with the border. And that's why I know it
Mhm.
initially didn't make sense, but that's the thinking there.
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
about just headers? I mean, if the categories, if people are attached to the categories, I couldn't care one way or the other, but it might make more sense if you had like headers for the sections then.
Or just if you're gonna, there's different colors in in the ordinances, like a red, yellow, red, orange, and yellow.
We'll figure it out once we get
Yeah.
the
And we're calling these,
list.
we're calling these things out. We're not judging them and ranking them here. It's just, we're saying that, you know, these are the things don't plant, these are the things must remove. So I understand you feel strongly about some of them, but it's, again, that'll add a third dimension to this that I think is just gonna be nutty.
But what I was saying is, like, nobody plants fennel anymore. I mean, I don't know anybody who actually plants fennel. It's just there. And it's so, you know, I don't think really people are planting cherry plums, but they are there in the environment and people are trying to get rid of them. Nobody's planting Himalayan blackberries. And I mean, there are plenty of other smaller and native blackberries that people can plant, and they can plant them in a contained environment, and it's not going to. So if you really want to do this for the people who are working in the gardens, you got to put in the plants that people are actually planting. I mean, you want to get rid of the things that are already there, but like I said, people are planting scabious, people are planting crocosmia, people are planting some of the ice plants, the ivies, and the cotoneasters. But people, for the most part, they aren't you know, in that stupid yellow broom that Lowe's always brings out every spring.
Maybe if I could just jump in to say, maybe we're differentiating between education and how we approach talking to people. And this is a law or an ordinance, you know, and this is just kind of spelling it out. I don't, people are, you know what I'm saying? The way we approach education with a pamphlet or a webinar or whatever is going to be different than this is just, you know, spelling out what's what. You know, and maybe that's for the education communication portion of it.
Yeah,
I agree with Jason. Also, I want to point out that we've already made fennel and the plums clear 2-foot perimeter from the property line. So they're actually going to go up into the next section.
Okay.
And that leaves scabiosa, eucalyptus, crocosmia, acacia on the is the only things remaining in do not plant.
Okay.
The blackberry is also in the must remove.
right.
The perimeter.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Wow, this has been a great conversation. We've got a lot of movement on this topic. Is there any other thing, or should we move on to any other new business?
Actually, there are a couple. I just happened to look and see that I have this. This is the document that we put together a while ago, published by Elena and Arthur and Elena Court and the Nature Watch Conservancy in the city of Brisbane. And some of the plants that are listed in here that we didn't get was curly dock, which is rumex, and
That'll be in the
firethorn,
second
that's
version.
and then also oxalis. And I know that people don't go around planting oxalis, but they do need to keep it clear. I think it needs to be clear 1 foot or 2 feet from the perimeter of their property because it spreads like crazy up the mountain. So those are a couple of ones that we don't have on the list that
Could we hit them in round 2, Michelle? I really feel really strongly if we could, and yeah, just if we could just, these are the ones that popped out for everybody, and we could do the next bite of the apple the next time. You know?
Okay.
Sounds like we're ready to on then. Our next new business was the letter supporting Dana Dilworth's inquiries. I'm gonna have Glenn probably talk about the letter itself, and I have the text on the next screen, but I did want to note, I think there might have been a little bit of confusion on who the letter should be coming from. So the letter that was included in the packet from Glenn was addressed as from the city council. I think our discussion and what I think least Karen and I understood as the intention was that this would come actually from OSEC. With that, I will go ahead and put the content, the primary content of the letter up on the screen, and Glenn, if you want to talk through any more of that directly.
So this is based on a comment from Dana Dilworth that the committee saw 2 months ago. And I apologize, I was a little bit later getting this done than I had expected. It's been a pretty busy semester. But I spoke with Dana before I did this draft. And Dana included a lot of details in her comment that I did not include. We felt the idea was to keep it simple. And after talking with her, the main point that she made, which I think is a very valid one, is that there is no comprehensive plan covering all the discharge sites on the Baylands. It's very patchworky. They're sort of requiring remediation one site at a time. They're not thinking about how remediation or activity on some sites would affect other sites, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really what this says, is that we want a comprehensive process. Just, you know, that really makes a plan considering all the discharge sites on the Baylands, that it should be a process that involves community participation, that it is based on academic research, and that's pretty much it. And I propose that it be signed by the city council because that's going to carry more weight than OSEC. But if we can't do that, then OSEC.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I read it. It's really hard to read. The sentences are very long, and I want it to be read. So my suggestion, even though I'm not going to change any of the sentences, but I suggest we break this up into smaller bites, like paragraphs. And I would want a paragraph, a new paragraph with while we are glad should be the beginning of a new paragraph. And then it would include all discharge sites should be a new paragraph. Unfortunately, should start a new paragraph. And the comprehensive process that we believe is necessary should be a new paragraph. And we should be careful not to make the lines too wide and the type big enough to read, because this is a very, very difficult document to read because the sentences are long and complicated. But at least if we break it up into paragraphs, more paragraphs, it seems more approachable and has a higher likelihood of getting read. And that's my current suggestion on it. And I don't care who signs it, whether we do or the council. I agree with you, Glenn. It would be more important if the council signed it. But we do need to make it more readable and scannable than the letter that I read this afternoon. And the fastest way that I can see to do that without really wordsmithing it is to break it up into 5 paragraphs.
Fine with me. I really don't have any more time to work on this. So
yeah, I understand. I mean, what you're saying is right. But it's just such big, long chunks of text that I don't think it's readable.
It's a draft.
Yeah.
Erin, did you have anything?
Yeah, actually, I am. I'm used to reading long, big sentences written by scientists, so that didn't bug me as much. But I do agree with Michelle. The one thing that I think is actually, it's like it's pretty easy to follow what Glenn is saying, which I think is fantastic. The 2 tiny nits I would make are taking out the we's and us's. So that last sentence in the first paragraph, we think that, just get rid of that. Just here it is.
The updating
We're not even going to tell you this is an opinion. This is a fact. And then the second one, the first line in the second paragraph, Instead of seems to us to require, I would just say requires.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect.
But yeah,
And
and-
I agree with Erin. It's well written. It's great. Just take it out. It's stronger if we take out seem to us.
Yeah. I think it's, I understand what Glenn's saying though, and I totally agree, and I appreciate that she drafted this.
Thank you, Glenn, for your time. It was very dense
Thank you, Glenn.
information.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think as well as a non-scientist, that if there were more paragraphs, it would be it would flow better.
So somebody can have at it, just not me. I'm way behind on everything. Who wants to do
think-
it?
I think we can probably that at the staff level if it's that of the change. Seems reasonable enough. Can come back
Thank
to the
you,
video
Erin.
and listen for Michelle's specific
Thank you.
suggestions.
Is there any other inputs on this? I also agree that, you know, if it comes from OSAC, not as strong, but if it gets out quicker, then that's also important.
Mhm.
Can we send it to council as a recommendation that they send it on to, what the hell are they calling themselves now?
BDI.
BDI, yeah. Because I think it really ought to come from council, but I think, I think we need to present it to them before I think we need to make the case to them that it's important before they'll present it to BDI.
So following up on what Barbara's saying, I'm asking Adrian and Karen, so then can we say, OSAC believes this here, we'd like you to forward that on so the council can say, our OSAC says this and we agree. Can it go that way or something like that?
That was what I
yeah.
thought was going to happen.
That isn't what we talked about, so that's, that's why we came back with that, but we can ask, we can put it on their agenda, I suppose.
Realistically, I think that could really slow it down tremendously, because as soon as we do
Okay.
that, then their lawyers are going to want to like comb through it, make
Point
sure.
taken.
Yeah. And
How
I think
soon
that
could
if
we get it to them?
uh,
I didn't hear you.
how
And
soon
how-
can we get it to them?
I don't know, we don't get to make the agenda, so we have to ask and see when they put it on. And I know Adrian's got a few things she's taking to. What are your, the federal?
The
Climate
federal climate
emergency.
emergency letter is going to be on November 17th. That would probably be the earliest this could get on if we can get it on the agenda at that same meeting.
They said it like I had the open space and they pushed that. That didn't work out too badly. It got done, but
That was good.
it was what, 1 or 2 meetings that it got postponed from. So, I can't say. We can try. We can do that in November. Obviously, yeah, that's the first chance it would have anyways.
That's a good thing.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah,
I think it all
always-
depends on how long they push it back, and we just don't know what they'll do, so.
At the moment, this isn't going to BDI. This is going to Thomas Mumley, State of California Regional Water Quality Control Board.
Correct.
Right. So just want to make sure we're not just giving it to BDI. That's who we're giving it to.
Honestly, if I were on the city council, I might want to know this letter was going out from OSAC, or send it to that level as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So send it first, send it out. Is that what you're saying, Erin?
No, I'm saying don't jump over.
Don't jump over the council.
Don't jump.
Make sure
don't
that
jump
they're
too
okay with
high
us
up the
sending it.
management chain
Right.
effectively. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like we say, yes, we all agree on this, because really all we're going to add is just a few, paragraph bring it down and change us and we. And this is good to go. I think we all agree to it. And then we try to get it to council as quick as we can and say, hey, we strongly feel this way. Am I summarizing right?
I think that's correct. At least that's what I'm hearing. But yeah, the sooner we could get this to council so we don't jump them, and it comes as much more pertinent coming from them.
Actually, what would be ideal is coming from us and them together.
All right, I agree.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, so when we talked about it at the last meeting, the discussion was the committee, and then Glenn wrote the letter from council. So we asked at the staff level, and we were told, okay, to send straight from OSEC. So we didn't really pursue more because we thought, this has already been a couple of months on our agenda and stuff.
Go ahead, Glenn.
So Karen, when you asked them, did they know what this was about and what we were going to say?
Now I defer to Adrian because she actually did the ask.
Okay.
I mean, they had also seen the original letter from Dana, so they were familiar with it from that perspective.
Okay. So,
they
they were
hadn't-
okay with it.
I don't know that they had seen specifically our letter.
No, they
it
wouldn't
did-
have. They wouldn't have.
Well, I mean, it was posted with the agenda, so it is possible that they would have if they had gone to look at it there, but I don't think they had.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it sounded like they thought it coming from OSEC was acceptable and possibly preferable.
Oh.
Okay. So we're good? Do we need any kind of motion?
Sorry.
I think
Yeah, I
probably,
think you
yes.
formalize what you're asking.
So I'm not sure if I'm entirely sure where we're leaving it or if we're taking it to council.
May I make
Yes.
a motion?
What's
I
your,
move-
go ahead, motion. Go ahead, Jason.
I move that we ask Adrian to do some minor edits and that we agree that this is the way OSEC feels. We agree to this statement with some minor edits with paragraphs and to forward to council with our strong recommendation that they please forward that with the full force of our recommendation and their approval on to BDI
And the Regional Water Quality Control Board.
Yeah.
I second that.
Do we need to vote on this? Okay.
Yes, a motion should always be voted on.
Okay.
Yes.
Well then, Michelle Salmons,
Aye.
Jason Noonan,
Aye.
Glenn Feldman,
Aye.
Barbara Ebel,
Aye.
Aaron Becker,
Aye.
Donna Kelmes, aye. Consensus.
Yay, update.
Yay.
1 hour and
Update.
8 minutes. I'm not counting, but
All right, I will start off. I don't have too many this time. My first is going to be, if you have not set up your city email yet, the time has come. We are going to be switching over to using only city emails. It has been a couple of months of notice. If you need to follow up with the city clerk, I recommend you do so tomorrow. Also, if you haven't sent me a picture, which is I think most of you, please go
Damn.
ahead and do that.
Did I send you one?
no.
I didn't.
I just have Jason and Shauna.
Wow.
What if we're waiting for a good hair day?
No, it's always it's troubling, isn't it?
I don't know if I'm ever going to have another one.
I know I'm not.
I could take the picture off entirely if everyone would prefer that. But we do still have a very old group up there. So if that's a preference, I can get rid of it entirely.
No, I want to send a picture. I just forgetting. I got to put it in my calendar or something.
All right,
What about-
here's
what
your
about the-
reminder.
What about the picture you have on your Zoom thing?
Well, I love that picture, but goth hits a lot of prejudice for a lot of people. And there are people out there who think that you just can't be smart and be a goth girl. So I'm not sure I want that to be. Yeah, I don't even want it on my Zoom, but Zoom refuses to keep my profiles separate. So there you go.
Okay. So
So
pictures to Adrian.
following up on the request to have presentations added, those are the last meeting, the presentations, gosh, what was it last month?
Added
Recess
to the
slide.
meeting. Added to
There-
the minutes.
They are added. I talked with the city clerk about the proper protocol for how to do this. They're posted on the website meeting page with the agenda item. So they're not
Okay.
actually posted with the minutes. If you go to the agenda where you would see the attachment for an individual item, they're added there after the fact.
Okay.
So I've got the ones from last meeting there.
Yay.
Yay,
Only
thank
got
you.
like one slide for this one, so I guess we'll do it just for that one slide. But that's how that is. The city clerk said that we needed to do that.
We would have 2 slides. We'd have that table and we'd have the letter.
Well, the letter is already attached
Okay.
separately. The draft version that Glenn sent is already posted with the agenda, so it'd just be the one slide for the.
Okay. Thank
The-
you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. The building efficiency program, we sent out some citations in the last couple of months. We are now down to just 2 buildings that have not submitted their report for last year. So like 98%. And then I think this is Rachel and I are also working with Touchstone IQ to get our new software set up and ready for the beyond benchmarking. So lots of planning going on there for making sure we hit the ground running after the new year. And then on the EV charger front, we completed a change order with the contractors who are doing our public facilities installation. The grant funding for our fast charger at City Hall did not come through. So we got the funding for all of the level 2s, but the fast charging grants were severely oversubscribed. That's not coming through. So we completed a change order to go ahead and install make-ready infrastructure for a future fast charger while we're already trenching for the level 2s. So hopefully that will speed up the process of adding a fast charger later if we're able to find a different grant or other funds to add one at a later time. I do not, however, have an update on the existing fast charger in town. They did the modem update. It didn't fix the problem. I have followed up with them a couple of times since, and I have no idea what is going on now. So, yeah.
That was my
That's,
question.
I had a feeling. Unfortunately, I've got nothing good happening at that charger. That's all on my list.
Thank you.
Anything from you, Karen?
Yeah, I have a couple. Quite a while back, the tree committee made a list of some street trees that had been removed and hadn't been replaced. So I wanted to get back to you that those are now starting to get replaced. I got a report that 2 of them, there were 8 on the list that are in central Brisbane. 2 have been replaced. They're trying to do them in this season. Humboldt Tree Service, one of the workers there is kind of taken over the business name, so they are doing some of those tree plantings. Tree root watering is continuing because we haven't had rain yet, and they are going to go through neighborhoods in town. You know, there's a certain budget, so time permitting, and hit some of the other street trees beyond the main ones that were originally identified by staff at the committee's request to look at, all the trees are in distress, so they're going to kind of try to do better surveys of trees off the main streets and get them some water too, until we get some rain, hopefully. I got feedback on the poplars at the marina that they were due to the marine environment, that they're dying, and there is assessment being done on what would do better out there, because yeah, more of them could need to be replaced.
Thank you for
And
finding out about that.
And you guys saw the email about the rodenticide complaint that had gone to the committee. Those were the ones that I noted down.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sure. If there's nothing further, let's move on to subcommittee report. I guess we'll start with the climate action plan. Don't think we met.
We have not, but we do. It looks like we have consensus for a November 14th meeting for the CAP subcommittee. So I'm just catching up from being away last week, but I'll have a calendar invite and Zoom info out to you guys probably tomorrow.
Sounds great.
And the event, anything?
Do we have a planting day planned for the winter?
I was gonna note that under calendar items if it didn't come up before. I reached out to Ariel. He suggested February 4th. That January is already looking very busy on his calendar, so that is kind of the first opportunity that works for both Jeff and I. So unless there's any objection, we'll be planning for February 4th.
Okay. Excellent.
Education and outreach.
I don't know that anything to report on that except for Glenn worked on an article for the Star on electric appliances or gas appliances and indoor air quality. So that will be landing in the next days, early next week, whenever that comes out.
I would like to take a second to thank our education and outreach committee, our events committee and staff for making Day in the Park awesome.
Yeah.
Really good. Thank you. And fun.
Oh, that's right. It is still October. I thought we already reported on that, but it was great.
Yeah. I was thinking the same, Michelle. I'm like, oh, that was still this month, huh?
I still have a bunch of pictures that I could send somewhere. I just don't know where to send them.
Just email them to me. You know, I don't know that I ever, I think I have a couple as well that I never got off my phone. So
Okay.
Email them to me. That'll be a helpful reminder to go grab my own too.
Okay, sounds good.
I have a very, very large spinnaker that's been slightly cut up if anybody needs some sailcloth, lightweight sailcloth for any projects.
Is it recyclable?
No.
No,
Okay.
I didn't get over to say hi to everybody over at the Complete Streets booth, but I didn't notice very many of you come by and offer your feedback to Complete Streets either. So, did you, Michelle?
I did. Yep.
Thank
I
you.
did.
That's right.
I voted twice. I mean,
You're terrible.
It really was a good day. I thought I thought OSEC was great. I thought Mountain Watch was great. I thought the city, Complete Streets was great. It was just really nice. There was a lot of really good stuff going on.
And we got a little bit, we could talk about it under trees, but a little piece in the blast about watering your trees that are in distress. I hope
I
that
saw
was
that was good.
what you guys wanted.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything? Guess we can go down to back down to Bayland subcommittee. Anything on that?
I don't think there have been meetings.
How about the open space and the open space
Yeah.
plan update?
Yeah, we have an update. Yay, yay,
Yay.
yay. We
That was-
have an update. Karen, thank you so much for presenting to the city council. It got passed. we have changed the criteria for an acre being in the priority preservation area, and 6 acres are now designated as priority preservation areas that were not before, and that makes them it doesn't change their ownership or anything like that, or what you can do on it. But what it does do is make those 6 acres available to be purchased by the city should the city have funds or desire to do that. It makes them available for purchase, for being considered to be purchased, provided the property owner would like to do that. I'd like for us to go ahead and send the letter that we've sent to those 6 acres owners, if we can, Karen. The letter that that Stuart sends. The other thing is should someone want to build more than what's allowed on a lower acre, such as the 3 acres along Gladys, it means that these acres that just got designated, along with all the other ones that aren't city owned in the priority preservation area, are now available to be purchased and donated to the city for a density transfer consideration. And so this is a great thing. And I know that I just really want to thank all the hard work put in by Mary Rogers, Jason Noonan, and Karen Kinzer, and to get this done. This has been on my personal agenda since the day I joined OSEC, and I feel really, really happy. I cried. I was sitting at home watching on Zoom, crying my little eyes out. So thank you very much, OSEC. Joined forces to do this.
Mary's not here. Just before we give Karen even more work to do, sending out letters, thank you, Karen, for doing that. That was great.
Yeah.
You were eloquent, and you got our thing across. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, and we had good support from the council, so that was really helpful. And
Yeah.
Still on staff, I'm going to have to document that, get the map changed, and have an insert to the open space plan so that that's properly recorded, because what we did was, we need to redraw the map basically and right, take what's been done and put it in context. Yeah.
Erin, did you have anything to add?
Fantastic work, everybody. And I'm really excited we did that. I do have a question that I don't think I need answered, but it's kind of for thought. I personally believe our work plan is a little heavy, and a lot of us are overworked and on too many committees. And so I'm wondering what happens now to committees where we have a milestone like this, and it's staff's role to send the letters out and update the plan and whatnot. But what about the volunteer OSEC group? Can subcommittees go dormant for a while, for a few years, or is there more work to be done right now?
Well, can I answer that one?
That is,
May I?
you speak.
Okay. The ad hoc subcommittee to get this open space plan recommendation updated is complete, but a new ad hoc subcommittee of hopefully the same people or different people we'd like to continue working through the next section of the open space and ecology plan, the 2001 open space plan, and update it and work on the next section. So we're taking it bite by bite, so that we remain as an ad hoc subcommittee that doesn't need to be noticed every single time we meet to kind of flesh out what next needs to be done.
Can we go dormant for a little while?
But I don't know that we need to. January, February, not too long, because I'm getting old and I'm not going to be here forever. And I want this. I want to review this. It's important to me that we have an open space plan that reflects where we're going to be in 2030 and 2040, and not 2001. So I think it's very important.
Okay,
The next one is the Crocker Frog habitat.
We're still waiting to hear back from the Resource Conservation District with their proposal to give us a plan. But in tandem, we know that, and I've been back out Crocker Trail scoping out the resurfacing project that's going to happen next year, and still every time I'm there, Paul Buscal is there working, so he's doing some nice work in the channel, kind of despite our putting some structure to it, so kind of moving forward a little bit in both, from both ends, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we heard of the invasive species, where we are with that, so I move forward unless anybody else has a comment to make about that. Anything forward with the dark skies? Or
Oh,
Barbara, you made a sad sound. Can you make more noise?
oh, well, I mean, I'm just frustrated. I was a little snarky at the end of the last meeting. I didn't really mean to be, so I need to apologize to my fellow subcommittee meeting members. I'd had a really, really incredibly rough day at work. I told Michelle about it. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where to go with it, because it's disappointing. It's not, but it's the most important thing is that if we actually have a path forward now, that we move forward. So Michelle, what do you want to add?
I just want to add that just so the whole committee knows, Barbara is the one person who's been on the committee this entire time and has done the lion's share of the work on the dark skies ordinance. And where we're at now is there were issues and things that sort of aged out that we had thought would be good. It was a very complex ordinance, and Rachel, our intern or whatever her position is now, did some research because the city planning group pushed back on some of the things and said they would be hard to enforce, et cetera, et cetera. And basically, the city of Malibu's dark skies ordinance kind of meets the majority of our criteria and has been in force. And it's much more simple and direct. So after all the monumental amount of work that Barbara and then the committee, Aaron and myself, and I forget who was on the committee before, is we're reviewing side by side the Malibu ordinance with what we had wanted in ours to make sure we're covering everything. And it looks like it'll be a lot easier to get it enacted through the city council. So although it seemed like a giant setback for all the work that we did, it's actually a giant step forward in actually getting something implemented. And so it's a bittersweet situation, but we're moving forward. And I think Barbara deserves incredible kudos from us for the amount of work that she did.
Thanks,
that even
Barbara.
allows us to do a side-by-side comparison so that we know what we're getting into and we know that we're covered on the things that are most important to us.
Sounds
thank
good.
you,
It's disappointing to me because a lot of staff complaints were not substantive. There was a lot of complaints about really trivial stuff, like where are the stuff pertaining to signs landed, and that was like never an issue. Nobody ever cared. I didn't put it in the sign ordinance, and I frankly, I'm not super excited about the Malibu one. The one that I based it on, which was sort of Flagstaff, was an award-winning ordinance, and Malibu's ordinance is sort of like a peanut butter approach. It kind of sets everybody has to have the same stuff, and it's kind of a low bar. And the problem with the peanut butter approach is it's great in that it's simple, but it also means that a lot of special cases and sort of outlying things just don't get dealt with at all.
So are you guys needing to take this back to subcommittee or where are we at with this?
Well,
Wade's
we're
still in
starting over.
subcommittee.
Okay, good. All right, so
Yeah.
it's in process.
Because we're gonna make it chunky peanut butter.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Sorry, Barbara.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not even a personal disappointment. It's just, I don't know.
We're gonna do our best to capture everything that we think is important that was outlined by Barbara and the previous committee and make it work and push it through. Because the sooner we get an ordinance, the better
Yeah.
off we are.
That's
And
definitely the
that's
thing,
the end
right?
goal. That's the end game. Get the ordinance in place.
90 minutes.
Yep.
90 minutes.
All right, thank you, timekeeper Jason. But any rate, if anybody has anything else to add to the Dark Skies continuing saga,
I was just gonna note they're meeting again on Wednesday, November 9th.
The next up one is tree issues, and unfortunately, I slept through the last meeting. Sorry to my person having a hard day. What happened? I'm sure it was scintillate.
What
Was there
happened?
anything that
We
happened?
We just kind of talked about where we were at and moving, what we were going to do. And, honestly, I took notes and I really don't remember what we said.
Well, we did the blast, the short term,
Right.
like, what are we gonna do about trees in
right.
distress now?
And we did the brochure, the little, Shauna did the brochure for Day in the Park, that we kind of ad hoc brochure that we did. And
Reviewed and finalized that, right?
yep. And then we talked about the street trees and the watering, which is now being expanded. So we did a little bit, but yeah, we need another meeting to start moving forward again with the structure.
I've been suffering a little insomnia. Perhaps I should go to this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I think in large part we decided to scale back our efforts, but because of the pushback we got from a particular our liaison.
We have a change of liaisons.
Oh,
Did you announce that in staff updates? Karen?
I
Adrian?
don't know if we did. That happened maybe a month or two ago. And
Yeah.
I'm forgetting now. It's
Our liaisons,
Karen
I
and
think.
Colleen.
Nope. Colleen and Terry.
Colleen and Terry. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that and thanks for getting that brochure printed out for the day in the park. The one thing I saw that people didn't pick it up because it didn't. I mean, there was a picture of a tree on the front, but maybe it actually needs to say trees or what can we do about our street trees or our trees or something like that. I had to really chat it up to get people to pick it up.
Yeah, it was a working draft, but we'll improve on it and we'll improve on the whole concept. So, and
But thanks for getting that printed out.
yeah, and Barbara, Sierra Point Planning.
Barbara?
yeah, I forgot to unmute myself. We only had the one meeting. There's been some chatter and email, but we just had the one introductory meeting. I think that I talked about last time with the consultant, and was very impressed with the consultant and waiting to move forward.
I
Oh, go ahead.
saw
Lynn.
an email that there's gonna be maybe a site review or something because they wanted to council wanted to add a complete streets member, so we got someone nominated and they're also waiting for the next meeting, I think.
Okay.
Right. Are there any other updates to any of these subcommittees, or can we move on to the chair and member matters?
Calendar.
Calendar items are
sorry.
next.
Looks like planting day gets moved to February. Oh, wait,
Yes.
this is still 2020.
This is 2022. It's it's much easier for me to just start fresh with a new year. So we've got 2023 just on a new slide. So I don't really have a whole lot more to say about 2022. Besides for that, we'll have one more meeting, and I don't know if we'll be ready for dark skies by then or not. But if not, we will figure something else out. That'll be the week after Thanksgiving, a week later than normal due to the holiday. And yes, the planting day on the 4th is on here. And then typically at that January meeting, we would have the focus be on our report of accomplishments and our work plan for the year.
Okay.
Good. Very good.
So on the November agenda, maybe we should talk about what we want on our work plan. Or do we have that outlined already?
For November 22.
Yeah.
That
So that we know what's going to be on our work plan for 23.
seems reasonable.
Except we're not meeting on November 22 because that's the day before Thanksgiving.
But
So
we're-
We're meeting.
talked.
We're
30th,
meeting
aren't we?
the week after.
Yeah, the 30th.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
Okay, cool.
Well, and now it's the chair and member matters.
Everybody send a new picture to Adrian, quick.
Indeed.
This is bad.
Some of us did. Some of us did.
Some of us look better than others.
Erin?
It's probably too late as an announcement, but just a reminder that SSF Scavenger was going to put out the big compost yard waste bins, I believe, on the November 4 weekend.
Right.
Oh,
For
and
the winter cleanup.
yeah, when is the winter cleanup weekend?
I will be honest, I don't know. But I am pretty sure I saw that on Caroline's list of items in the November Star. It's really promoted there and in the blast. I don't know that I recall seeing it in the most recent blast. But if it's coming up, I would expect it in there soon. Erin, did you say it was the weekend of November 4th?
That's what I have.
No,
in my notes.
couldn't be that soon. There's been nothing about it.
Oh, no. I said the South San Francisco Scavenger is dropping the green waste dumpsters all over town the weekend of November 4th.
Is it that weekend?
That's what we're
That's-
talking about. Same thing.
That's the cleanup, November 4th?
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
this thing. I am looking to see if it's on the city website calendar. Don't get on.
I know it was mentioned somewhere.
Where did you guys get your information?
I thought we got it from the scavenger lady last week or last
Oh.
month.
Well, it's
Like
probably
that,
going to be in this
but-
Friday's blast then.
Yeah, and maybe on the boards out front.
Well, hopefully they'll blast it out a couple of weeks before they actually do it because people need to prepare. It's usually,
I feel like November 4th sounds really.
Okey-dokey.
yeah, it's usually like the second or third weekend in November. Okay.
Okey-dokey.
Any other member matters? Things to say. Our next meeting is on November 30th. A special meeting because Thanksgiving.
And that'll be our meeting for November and December, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, with very little further to do. I move to adjourn. I move to adjourn this.
100 minutes. Awesome.
Second.
Yay! Thank you, timekeeper Jason.
Well done. Thank you. You'll be hearing from the timekeeper more often. Yes.
We get
Have a good night,
awards.
everybody. Thank you very much.
Everybody have a
Bye.
safe and fun Halloween.
Bye.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Everyone.
everyone. Good night.